What's up, guys? Welcome back. We got the coaches here, and we're going to be talking to you. Damn, Bob.
Great start.
Training versus working out. All right, so I think this is a big topic. You kill me, Bob.
Sorry.
Kill me. Trying to look over here. Yeah,
I
jeez.
see you like now.
Yeah, looking over there.
The Mach 1 podcast is filmed in front of a live studio audience
Yeah.
on one take.
Yeah, so let's get rocking into training versus working out. Yeah, I think this is a good topic to cover. A lot of people get started and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to work out, but getting on a training program is different than just showing up at the gym and doing workouts. So, you want to take it first, Bob?
Sure.
All right.
I feel like I just want to throw one thing to maybe help you get started. Also, is like I feel like people don't even know what the difference between training and working out is. So if you want to get started on just what is that difference to you?
So for me, I think working out and training, I think training, like we were saying before, has a destination. I think whatever you're trying to do, whether it's be train for the police academy, training to, move your, relative who is, needs max assistance and, or just training for a meet. I think training, it sets you up for a long-term revision. And I think it has an objective drive to what your workouts are trying to accumulate. So whether you're trying to get a bigger deadlift, get a bigger bench, the training is going to complement those factors, but have a sequence of parameters that keeps you from not injuring yourself, but also keeps you getting stronger more progressively. Ideally in the coaching realm, a linear progression is what we're all striving for, but obviously that's not realistic. So I think the drive to keep that progress linear is training. Working out to me is something that's just a one-off thing. Like it's just getting a lift in with friends, just hitting a sick arm day. And I don't think it really has an objective drive. I think the workout itself is the objective, not a long-term vision of it. Because you can do a lot of workouts with your friends, but it might not accumulate to transferring to be able to do a powerlifting meet. You might not be able to do Olympic lifting meet because of it. Like I think anyone can work out hard, but not everyone can train consistently. If that makes sense. Yeah. So, do you want to go, Shane?
No, I mean, I kind of, from personal experience, I used to be the queen of mistaking working out and training. When I first got into the gym, and started doing weights and, strength exercises, I was a former cardio bunny, did a half marathon, don't even know who that version of myself is anymore. But I remember when I'd go in, I'm like, all right, you just got to go in and you got to sweat. So I knew one day I wanted to do quads. So I would just write down every exercise that involved quads and I'd be like, all right, 4 sets of 15, for everything. And I sweat and I thought I was training, because I was sweating a lot and all that stuff, but I was just working out. There was no purpose other than that immediate moment hitting quads. To me, if you're training, there's some kind of end goal in sight. My day job, I teach middle school social studies. Shout out to my class if you see this. But every day we have a lesson objective that we have to write on the board. And it's not like you're throwing, stupid busy work at them every day just to say you did it. What you craft and what's well thought out and following a training program is kind of the same as my lesson plans for my kids. And eventually I kind of made that connection. And I'm like, oh, if there's a purpose behind it, one, the workouts are better, you're more likely to stick with it, and you see way more results if you follow something that's well structured and thought out. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Bob had mentioned there are some objective measures that we take initially on the intake, and we strive to show up for a specific goal. There's a purpose. Whereas working out, it's not that there's not a purpose to the workout. Like you're trying to get a pump, you're trying to get a sweat, get something done. But training is the accumulation of these sessions towards a specific goal. And if you're looking to see results, whatever that result is, lose weight, increase weight, yada, yada, you should be training on a plan rather than just working out and winging it.
I think that's super key is the purpose driven intention versus just showing up. And it's not always bad to just show up. Sometimes that's all you got. You don't always have it in you to stick exactly to the plan for what one reason or another. And in that sense, sometimes you need to just work out because that's all you got. But even in that context, that workout is part of a training plan. You're integrating it as more of a purposeful, intentional result as opposed to just doing workouts nonstop. And I think that's where there's a lot of gap in many people's, exercise routines is they're stacking workouts, but they're not really doing so in a productive way to compound results because they're just doing random things that feel hard and feel challenging, and they could be, but without any sort of end result, short term, long term. What are you doing it for?
It's like a jack of all trades, master of none.
Jack of all trades.
Say that
master
one
of
more
none.
time, Bob.
It's like a jack of all trades, master of none.
No, exactly. So you need the training plan to have purpose. And sometimes, a lot of, I think, our class members, they have like very general goals. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have something super concrete, but that's where having a coach comes into play is we'll come up with what the end goal of this 8 week or 9 week training block is for you and help keep you accountable so that way your training program is steadily building and it's not just a random conglomeration or Frankenstein of workouts. That's the really powerful part about having a coach and having coaches is they do that work for you.
Yeah, I think, specifically with one population that we train with a lot of our youth athletes. There's a big difference about going to the gym and going, hitting some machines, getting strong. Like you can totally get strong that way. It's probably how a lot of us started going to a general membership gym. But if you're an athlete, you pretty much have to be on a training plan. You need to periodize it. You need these specific adaptations to happen at certain times of the period, whether you're in season, off season. If you're a certain field sport athlete, you want your training to reflect what you want, out of the training itself, right? So if you're looking to get, more powerful and explosive, and your training is slow, you're going to be slow. You're not going to be powerful and explosive. Whether you're a young athlete looking to develop through the years, you want a plan that's in place to acknowledge that, where you are at this point and develop through the years. So I think especially for our youth program, it's important to know why we're training, why you're doing this drill, why you're doing this exercise. And when we bring the group together, we try to explain that to them.
I actually was reading a book I just read recently, the Juggernaut Method. Shout out, Chad. But he made a really good point where he was saying that he was talking about conditioning, and what does conditioning really look like? Are you conditioned? And I think like what RJ was saying about like training plans and what your athletic goal is. You could do like really hard David Goggins workouts where you're gonna run 100 miles, then do 20 burpees, 20 crunches, and then that's just the first set. Then you got to do 3 more sets after that. Like, although yeah, that's pretty badass. It's pretty, you could do that consistently time and time again. That's pretty cool.
You ain't dying, you ain't trying.
Yeah, you could die trying. Like, it's pretty sick. But like, does that really set you up for like being a good football player, being a good like wrestler? Like for our athletes, we try to cater to like getting them conditioned for their sport specific. And I think like they were saying, like, that's the importance of training is because you can be conditioned, but conditioned for what, right? If you're training like a football player, but you're a cross country athlete, you're more conditioned for football, not your own sport. And I think like with like a workout, like a lot of young kids that come in, they ask me like, can we max out today? And I'm like, I really want to also, but we can't. Like, so it's like holding in the reins and being able to like know that this is not a workout where we just come in, lift weight for the sake of it, do 3 sets of 1 rep, right? We have to earn our reps and, create, like RJ was saying, create those adaptations. Because at the end of the day, we're not training to be power lifters. We're training to be, athletes. And as much as like doing a 1 rep max, feeling strong is awesome, right? It has no real benefit in the long run of doing it week after week for an athlete. And, especially, it's teaching kids and like at youth athletes young that like 1 rep maxes are earned, not given. And I think like that's why at the end of every major phase we do with them, like I like to throw them a bone and we'll do like a 2 rep max, or like we'll throw on some heavy weight, have a fun week. And yeah, I think that's mainly my again personal view on like training.
Yeah.
Pushing.
No, I think with, training versus working out, I think training, you have some kind of progressive overload element, that's built into it. And that's what working out usually misses.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been thinking about is like, we just started our new programming for our average to savage class. And we are using percentage-based programming now with them, which is really exciting because everyone just did our lift off event, which if you don't know, that's where they test, their max squat, bench, deadlift. And this is a lot of their first times using percentage program. And I've been explaining to them, for your main lifts, now that we have actual working numbers to go off of, I'm like, you should start to feel significantly stronger as you follow this training program, because now we have an accurate number to base it off of, and we're going to build off of that in a smart way from week to week. And it was funny because when we had people test, they're like, oh, I haven't been doing enough weight, in class. I've been holding back. And, that's okay. When you're new, that's part of the learning experience. But now it's even more training for them than it was before. So I'm just excited for them to see the gains that are going to follow with that.
And I feel like too, like having a coach there, like Sharon was saying, like they can view you from a subjective point of view, saying no, you can push yourself. For me, if I were to program myself, I'd probably would avoid the stuff that I don't really like. Yeah. But Jason programs me. He's gonna give me the shit I need. Well, I'm talking about a curse.
You're welcome.
Can I curse?
You did it.
All right, word. Send it. So he's gonna program the shit I need, not what I want. And obviously, like workouts are fun, or the training days are fun. But yeah, I feel like having a coach gives you what you need, not what you want. And like we had everything we want.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah. Like they can look at you from that point of view and be like, these are the things you need. But also, if you like these other stuff, that's what makes it like the longevity of it.
I think just to piggyback off of what both of you were saying, I think it's easy to talk about training versus working out in the context of a performance athlete. I think there's a little bit of a gray area where it's like, well, what if I'm not, a high schooler training for football, right? And I'm just, someone that comes to class. Like, what does training mean to that person? And I think, like you mentioned it, like progressive overload, and when you you mentioned like earning those 1 rep maxes, not just taking them, right? When you earn it, and now we're doing percentage based training in our program, it feels different. There's a much different level of intention behind it. Or even if you don't have a 1 rep max yet and you're a little bit newer to the gym, like some of our new members don't have those numbers established, but being integrated into a training program where it's like, well, this is how it should feel. It should feel like you have 2 reps left in the tank. And, this training program is going to progress, and we're going to add a little bit of weight each week, and we're going to get stronger. I think just to kind of circle back to our liftoff event, a lot of the members that started with us maybe at any point during 2025 that did our liftoff in 2026 at the beginning of the year didn't expect to be like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that.
Yeah.
Like,
they always surprise themselves in the best way.
Exactly. And that right there is the result of a training program, not just a mishmash of workouts. When you do a lot of workouts, you don't even know what to test. Like, you don't even know what areas to see. Where did I improve, other than maybe weight on the scale, which is not the only way to test progress, right? So I think a lot of people in our community found that they're capable of so much because of the training program that they've been on.
Yeah. And I guess one thing to piggyback off of that is you could go around, and then, we're located in Monmouth County, New Jersey. There are gyms everywhere, which means there are trainers everywhere. And, I could make you sweat. You could do 100 burpees right there. That's a workout. But, having a plan in place and going off the objective data of what you took for an intake and making it specific to the goals is what sets us apart as coaches. So if you're inquiring about a service, like, you don't want someone who's just gonna make you sweat, because you could go anywhere. Anybody can make you sweat. But if you have a coach who's going to push you at the right time, pull you back at the right time, trust the process, that's someone that you want to put your time and monies into.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. That's the gift of strength training, and
Yes.
and finding a good routine, good coach, good environment, good community, which we all have. But yeah, I think it's like Jason said, you can have a little bit of both. You don't need to be super on track with your training all the time. I think sometimes people get lost in that as well, and it is important to back off and just show up. Get a sweat in. Sometimes you need that mentally. Like, physically, it's important to stay on a training plan, but mentally, sometimes you just need to get off. And sometimes I'll give my athletes like a free day, like, hey, what do you want to do today?
Exactly.
And they're just like, oh, I really want to work on this and that, and they're like, oh, that was an awesome day. Like, we're still trying to stick to the plan, but at the same time, like, you don't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need those 4 fun days.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important, because if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
But no, I think it's super, super important to have all of those things that you mentioned, just the community, the coaching. That's what makes training fun. And if you ain't having fun, then what's the point?
It's rule number 2. Have fun.
Right after, don't die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely important.
Please don't. No.
All right. So yeah, anything else besides for the boys? Have anything left to say?
Should I hang on to it?
I don't know if they were talking there.
Oh, who's talking first?
You could hold it together.
Oh,
The boys.
okay. The boys. What should I say? Oh, these boys.
Yeah.
They're shy today. I guess. Oh wait. So, anything else you want to say? Sure.
I'm great.
Okay. I guess I'll leave off on some bars I was thinking about in my head. I think like we all experience weight, kind of find our 1 rep max at some point, but I feel like some people experience weight different times. But I feel like the weight we always experience day to day is patience, and I think patience is the heaviest weight for all people that come to the gym. And
That was heavy.
yeah, and I think if you can master the weight of patience, and you can master the weight of anything that comes your way. So I think like sticking to the plan, having some fun while you do it, I think at the end of the day you'll be in good hands.
List of heavy objects. We have 1,000-pound deadlift, patience, and then Bobby's bars. That's the heaviest.
Charles Schwab invested in the heaviest of them all.
Training versus working out. If you have anything you want us to answer in our next show, leave us a comment, drop an email, show up to the facility. But that's all for today. Mach 1 out.
Boom.
They're shy.
It's okay. We're not on camera.